you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
How you doing, beautiful people? My name is Robert Bannon. It's another Thursday. Look, why is my sign blue? What is going on in the presto changeo? How you all doing, everybody? It's October 30th, and I am not here live. Very rarely does this ever happen, but I turned 42 on Friday. And my dad is here in Detroit for the very first time, and he's landing as we speak. So I am going to take this week off and send you this pre-recorded message and really great interviews, really great interviews tonight as a part of the Roundtable. I'm so happy that you're all here. I'm grateful for you being here, and I'm grateful for 42 incredible years. The best truly is yet to come. It has been the best for me over the past few years, and you've all been a part of the journey. So as I celebrate another trip around the sun, I want to thank my husband, Darius, for this incredible year, my first birthday married to this man, my second year here in Detroit, my incredible parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, my soon-to-be second niece or nephew on the way, an incredible group of friends that have supported me and carried me through every single day of my journey. And you, the incredible people who watch me every single week, who buy tickets, who stream my videos, who watch me or listen to me on this podcast. It means the absolute most to me. You made my dream come true every single week and day. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate you. Are you ready to get this show started? Let's do it. Here's the week in review. Well, this week, I don't have much to tell you because it's a day or two early. You don't know when I recorded this, but it is a little bit early. But I did have a good week. I did get to see Freddie Jackson, friend to the show. I did get to see the one and only Freddie Jackson here at the Music Hall, and he was a beautiful concert. What a beautiful person. I really love Freddie Jackson and his energy and his spirit. So he put on a show. He sang the hits for the people. Regina Bell was with him. Shout out to Hollywood Casino for having us. And thank you, Mr. Jackson, for being here. Such an honor and such a pleasure. And then shout out to my friends at Broadway in Detroit for this Back to the Future evening. Back to the Future is here at the Opera House for a couple more weeks, and it's definitely worth a ticket to see. If you heard my interview with them on Broadway World, it was really special, and I had a great time. So it was a good week. Lots of work, lots of prepping for my dad, lots of cleaning, lots of Darius saying, Robert, don't make a mess. Your dad is coming. I can't wait to tell you about the adventures we have together, his first trip to Detroit ever. So we're going to Motown. We're going to the Ford Museum, the Ford plant, special dinners, celebrating Darius's mom and my dad, the birthday dinner. Save us. It will be really special. So we'll have a really great show recap for you next week with some really great musical guests too. So don't miss it. Speaking of musical guests, tonight's show is pretty amazing too. But before we get to that, let me give you one more of our famous segments called The Shameless Plug.
'Cause I'm shameless.
I'm shameless. People say it to me like when they know they're going to be on the show. And this all comes from my crazy head. So thank you for being here. All I got to tell you is that if you're looking for something to do this holiday season, December 26th, there is no excuse for you not to be at 54 Below. They're luckily giving us $5 off. Go to Bannon5. All of this information is on my Instagram page, which you should be following at Robert M. Bannon. But go to 54below.com and buy your ticket for December 26th at 9:30. Robbie Roselle is directing, Yasuhiko Fukuoka, and a lot of special guests. Deborah Toscano, who does my Big Gay Italian Wedding with me, is going to be there. Robbie Roselle is going to be there, and more surprise special guests to come. I'm so excited about this show. I've been working on it. I'm going to rehearse it next weekend. I'm going to New Jersey for my birthday with my mom. And I'm going to see Robbie and Yaz. And I am so excited to get back to singing. I'm actually singing tonight somewhere in Detroit, which I'll tell you about next week. And I'm so excited about it. So please come join me. I know it's a tough week. I know it's the middle of the holiday extravaganza, but the holidays are over on the 26th. You'll be bored and you'll be looking for something to do. And if you have family visiting, what better than to take them to 54 Below where they can listen to me instead of annoy you? I don't know about you, but growing up, there's a lot of great interviews coming up, like really good interviews coming up on this show in the coming days. So you do not want to miss them. Like Brandon Kyle Goodman is going to be here, who has a show at Ars Nova, and Mannheim Steamroller is going to be here, and Jonathan Bennett's going to be here, and there's so many good. The real Queen of Versailles is going to be here. There's so many interesting shows coming here on the roundtable, so don't miss a second or a moment or a second. So I had the chance to do interviews with Billy Joel people, and Billy Joel was the first concert I ever saw. One of the first, maybe not. Maybe Elton was first, and then Billy Joel was second. But I grew up with Billy Joel singing Hackensack, and Piano Man, and Only the Good Die Young, and Scenes from Italian Restaurant, and Honesty, and Pressure, and Allentown, and like the songs of my childhood. Truly the songs of my childhood. So it's really exciting for me to be able to do a show in tribute to him. His first wife so happened to be his manager, who so happened to be his manager when he won Album of the year after year, and sold millions of records, from going to obscurity to superstardom, with the brains and beauty of Elizabeth Weber behind him. And when their marriage ended, she never told her story, ever. She went into, not a recluse, but she just left the business in the way and never told her truth until the HBO documentary came along. She finally told her story, and she's done a very, very few interviews publicly. She did the red carpet. She's done a couple of interviews here and there, but to sit down for a special 45-minute interview about her life, her career, her time with Billy, or she calls him Bill, and everything she's done after that, was a real special moment. So I'm very proud and honored to share this interview with you. Take a listen. Well, I'm really honored and excited here we are the Roundtable. We're on Broadway World, the Broadway Podcast Network, iHeart, and Spotify. And, I love people who have made many chapters in their life. Sometimes they are managing superstars, fighting record producers. Sometimes they go on to be mothers, grandmothers. Sometimes they are very public. Sometimes they take a moment and disappear from the spotlight. I feel like we're all full of chapters and so much of life. And when I had the chance to talk to our next guest, Elizabeth Weber, I've been fascinated with the journey and the incredible life that you have lived. So I'm so excited you're here.
Well, thank you. I wish I were with you in Detroit.
Come on, I've got a Coney dog waiting for you, Elizabeth Weber.
Okay.
Do you look? I have so many questions for you. Did you happen to be involved in the music business because of circumstances, or did you always love music?
Well, I always loved music. My parents loved music. I have 5 brothers and sisters, and my mother couldn't read each a story at night, so she would open our bedroom doors and play classical music. And my dad loved everything from Spike Jones to Irish trad music to opera. And so music is my, I don't want to be disrespectful to religion, but it is my religion. I mean, music makes me, it's something that I've loved my whole life. I played instruments, I sang, but I thought I was going to be a geneticist. I thought I'd be a doctor. And so it's funny how if you get out of the way, a wonderful life can happen to you.
And
Yeah. And the real reason I got involved in the music business is my boyfriend, then husband, he wanted creative success and it didn't seem to be happening. And, we had a lovely life, and the 3 of us, my son, my husband, myself, and but it's hard to see someone you love being dissatisfied and unhappy. And and things would happen, and I would go to meetings with him, and I would, sit there and think, wow. Oof. And then one day I just said to myself, well, all right, how hard can this be? And so I kind of went like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And then bit by bit, at first I started, working on helping with touring, helping with arranging and doing all of that kind of, because also we had no money. So it's not as if we had lots of money or a record company that was throwing money at us, but to get the job done, And so that's how I started. And I was in it up to my neck before I knew it.
When you watch the documentary, everybody, which is incredible, is incredible, and you get to hear from your mouth as well as everyone else who was living that time. Your son, a lot of people are commenting the documentary. I had no idea. This growing up in Jersey, listening to the music and being, the first concert I ever saw at Madison Square Garden when I was 12 years old. My parents took me. I did not ever under knew the history and the backstory, and
Mhm.
you were a lot of the force and the business acumen and the ideas. And there's pictures of you on the phone with Rolodexes and double E phones and book. And that was not something you learned on the fly.
Yeah, I did, but I grew up in a large family, and administrative work is, I think that one of the reasons women, I think, make very good CEOs is that you have to manage not only the details, but you have to make sure that everyone is rowing in the same direction. And that's something I think that I am particularly good at. And so getting everybody, and we were on a mission. It wasn't a job. We were very young, and our mission was to make this happen. And and we did. And obviously I didn't do it alone. But I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky in a sense that was my first job, except for, we all had jobs in high school, but um and that was really my first job. And it's well, actually my first job, I I worked for George McGovern.
Can't.
That and so Bill and I lived in Hampton Bays, and it was off season, and I worked in the field office in Bridgehampton. And the reason it was important is that a lot of money was raised in the Hamptons for political causes. And so, and one by one, people would be called to go work in New York City, and the job would be vacant, and I'd just do it. And then someone else would be called to go work in New York City. And that's how it kind of worked in those days in political campaigns. And and I would just do the job. So, in a sense, I became the last man standing, or last person, woman standing. And I realized in it, I always knew I was capable, but that job gave me a hint as to how capable I was.
And hey, politics and showbiz are very similar in many ways. So do you I'm not going to go through the history of it all because you can watch it and you could listen to your telling of the story. It's on HBO and you could stream it. You could listen to it even on the anthology on Spotify, wherever you listen to music as well. But what fascinates me about the story that I don't know the answer is about you after you have been notoriously, if I Google you and look you up, it will tell me that you're notoriously private, that you've kind of stepped away from the limelight and you're back out doing talking and on red carpets for the premiere and speaking about it for really the first time publicly. Why now?
Well, I was encouraged by my granddaughters, who really, they really had, they loved me, and they knew I did stuff. And they would go, I produced a play, and they would go to opening night and they would see all this, and they knew I was something, I did things, but everybody's parents do things. Um, but at one point they said, look, you need to tell your story, because I had asked them when I got I'd gotten many, many overtures over the years, and but I like my life. I like that I go to the grocery store. Yeah, I'm just some other, person hoping that no one hits my car in the parking lot. And I'm but my granddaughters, they had a very specific appeal, and that appeal, and then Susan Lacey appealed to me And I mean, I guess it took them a year and a half to talk me into it. But Susan's appeal resonated. And she said that if I were ever going to tell my story, she should tell it because my story was her story. And she was in television and she'd go to the weekly marketing meetings and, the next day people had taken all her ideas and were selling them as her own, and that she would have won awards. She developed the American Masters series on PBS. And but all the men in the office would get the tables up front. And Susan, who was the writer, director, and producer of American Masters that was winning every award, she would be so far in the back of the room. And so that I thought about that, and I thought that there's no way I can tell you, and of course you're so young, that maybe historically you have a better perspective, but I could tell a lot of men till I'm blue in the face what I was confronted with and what I dealt with on a regular basis. But I knew that Susan got that, and I didn't want that to be the story. I didn't want the story really to be about a woman in a man's business. I really wanted it to be about what we achieved. And that was very important to me. So I sort of said yes. And then my son took over, and because anytime anyone gives me any pushback, especially about these matters, I'm like, I don't really want to talk about this. So, Sean kind of kept us moving forward, and I'm delighted I did it, but I'm also delighted to be going back to behind the camera. I love being involved, but I like to be on the side of the stage. I like to be in, 15, 20 rows back in the orchestra on the side. I like to watch and observe. I like to know that if I do my job well, nobody should know what I look like or sound like or what my name is. My artist should be, and the projects I'm doing need to be front and center, not me. And I like that. That's a good place for me to be.
When this chapter of your life ended, did you continue in show business? What was your trajectory?
Not really. I moved to Los Angeles. I wanted to get my son because, it's very difficult to be in New York. People know you. People are always reaching out, and I knew because my life was in some ways, many ways, it was fantastic. I loved my job. I loved the work. I was very good at it. I loved the people. I mean, most of these people I didn't necessarily handpick, but a lot of them I did. And a lot of them I became, when you're on a crusade, you're closer to people than just somebody who has the next cubicle. And so leaving them behind was really difficult. But I knew I had to do that because if I were going to get away, um, it's not nothing like Al Pacino in The Godfather, but when you get, I thought, and they drag me back, but that is what I felt. And so my son and I moved to California, and I had some business affairs that kept me very preoccupied for the first couple of years, and then I I lived in Wyoming for a long time. I love Wyoming. I'm a Wyoming at heart. I was just there. I still have friends that I've had for over 40 years. And if they didn't have that pesky little thing called winter, I'd be there right now. But I worked with, I started a Fish Ranchers Association. I worked with the water marketers. Because I wanted to be more involved with community. I've always been a children's advocate. When I was in New York City in the music business, I was a member of and then on the board of Citizens Committee for Children. And I worked on a number of different campaigns, including um, getting mandatory vaccinations, which right now is probably taboo. And also, I was instrumental in doing research that ended up having every child having their own representative in a courtroom.
Wow.
Because in those days, the mother and the father and the child had the same representative. And while a child couldn't always have its own lawyer, it could have its guardian ad litem, and that would represent the child's interests. So I was involved with that campaign, and as I said, um, vaccinations, and so I did that for a while, years, obviously years, um, and then of course there was my my years of being a chaplain, and then being in juvenile hall was a very difficult thing because I'm not the kind of person who could walk out that front door and leave the heartache and to leave these beautiful children and the thoughts of them behind. I
Mhm.
couldn't do it. Um, and so, working there for years is like working someplace else for like a lifetime.
Mhm.
And then I was very fortunate. I was very close to two classical musicians, um, Yankee Jew and Alexei Gudisman, and they had asked me if I could help them if I would talk to them about their careers. And I said, sure, but I don't want to be talking about it all the time. When you come visit me, I'll give you an hour in the beginning, and then, when you leave a week later, we can have another hour. And so I started advising them, and I loved what they were doing. I only do things I'm passionate about. And I'm so grateful I have the luxury that I've been able to do that. Um, and so these were classical music, classical musicians, and they were humorists. And the reason I love them is that I feel very strongly that classical music, opera, I love both. I was on the board of the Los Angeles Opera for a number of years, and um, but I think that it's classical music is not presented properly. So many people think it's, oh, you have to get dressed up and you have to, be a certain kind of person. Um, and Gudisman and Jew were sticking the pin in that balloon. And I decided I wanted to help them. And so I worked with them for 12 years. And that was a in every way, it was such a fantastic experience. First, they're incredibly talented and they're lovely people. And we traveled all over the world together. And they would concertize and we would give educational programs and they'd write commissions. But they taught at Yale, we taught at the Opera House in Oman, and every place in between. And and to see children light up, because if you're there with an orchestra, you have 5 days, you have your services with the orchestra, and the schools, if you like in Vancouver, a good example, I think, is so we would have the school day, and we would work with kids, and then we'd have the school day, and then we'd have the performance with the little kids for their parents. And watching kids and seeing that when they realized that they knew, like for an example, the theme to James Bond, or they knew Beethoven, da, 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 da. And I'd warm up the little kid audience and I'd say, do you play an instrument? And they'd go, no. And then I'd say, do you play an instrument? And no. And I'd say, well, you're the most important people here today. And they'd look at me with kind of astonishment. And I'd say, because we can't do what we do without an audience. So thank you for coming. And to see kids, to see adults walk out of Carnegie Hall laughing. And I know I have brought so much music through, of course, Bill and Agudisman and Joe. I have brought music. It's like the one language we all understand. And I have been to so many corners of the earth bringing music. And I love that. And I'm very proud of that.
Millions and millions and millions, Grammy Award, millions of songs. I'm happy to hear that you had continued the music and the business and the management of it and spreading it, because that's what I've got out of the documentary at the beginning was two people who were really obsessed with art and music. And that's what is very moving about it. And it's amazing that it became a huge thing. And it's amazing that it sold millions and millions of albums and has become a cultural phenomenon. The music you guys created together will live forever. You know,
Yeah.
I was at a bar and they were singing it in karaoke, and they'll sing it and ruin it in karaoke for eternity.
They
Um,
will. And I still get little vids from my friends all over the world in different languages. And some of my closer friends know to capture the part in Piano Man where it says the waitress is practicing
in
politics.
politics, that's
And, but, for me, all of that is a very itchy suit.
Mm.
Um, And I do really well with it. I mean, I don't collapse when I walk in a room and people play Just the Way You Are, or I really don't. But I am we like we're so great together. I mean, we were so different, but at the same time, and what we did together and we achieved together in all those years. Is just remarkable. But I created an environment for him to be able to write. Um, you can't be out at night. You can't be going to the bar with the band and think that you're going to be able to, you have to have, I would see that one of the reasons I started going to business meetings, I could see that, and in Gudisman and Jew are the same way. And you would go for a meeting with the agents and, they'd be paying attention. And then all of a sudden they'd be like, and they're writing a song or they've got something, there's some tune in their head. So combining forces is, and it was great. I mean, it was completely those partnerships, those collaborations. And Bill and I accomplished more in the 12 years than most people accomplish in 60 years together. Or we were just magical together.
There are 1% of 1% of the world who's accomplished what you guys accomplished. And so I'm happy to hear. So I'm divorced. I had an ex-wife, and when I have moments, there are days where I really smile, and there are days where we get along great, and there are days where it's very painful. You just have lived it in a very public way, and you can go to the supermarket and hear, she's got a way playing on the super.
Yeah, and times like that, I just whip out my pink tutu and pirouette down the aisles.
So I'm happy you're not that you can hear it and not be it's not tortured you your whole life.
I loved the music first. Before anybody else heard it, I did.
Yeah.
So I'd have to be, I don't know, schizophrenic or something to have loved it then and then not love it now. I mean, I don't come home from work and play, different albums. Occasionally, I might, if I'm missing Phil Ramone a lot, I'll play scenes from an Italian restaurant or Zanzibar.
Mhm.
And but that's all that stuff stands on its own two legs. And I'm incredibly proud of it. So when I do hear it, if I'm going down the aisles of my local grocery store, if I'm not looking for Rihanna, who also shops there,
Mm.
and I hear the music, and of course I know it in a note or two. Um, and it makes me smile, obviously. I mean, no one will ever know what I achieved at juvenile hall, but occasionally one of the kids will call me. They're men now. Most of them have their own families, and um, but I'm very grateful that I have. I'm also grateful that I was able to extricate myself so that I mean, I lived through some scary times, and back then.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that I was able to get myself out of it and that I have a strong, solid family.
Mhm.
My son is, he's my masterpiece. And although he did it, he did it himself, but I'm very proud of him and his wife and my grandchildren. So yeah, it's like, what's not to like?
Well, that makes me smile. And next time you see Rihanna at the grocery store,
I don't talk to her, although she lives near on my son's street, and she lives in a sense for Rihanna, who's a billionaire.
but
She
yeah.
lives very modestly, um, relatively, um, but in Los Angeles, it's you know, either you hide in plain, like Lin-Manuel Miranda,
Mhm.
like a hero. Uh, and well, I don't like to use that word, but someone I really inspires me. Um, and the way he conducts himself, he goes on the subway. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a bodyguard. He has, and he is still living, working, breathing. And because I always think that if the magic in life happens as we connect with one another. And I think in some ways that's very lost right now,
Right.
that connection. And we're not going back. I don't mean that, but the connection you have between the person who um, takes your dry cleaning, or if you go to the bakery, or I think that's important, and that's where I want to live my life. I don't really see myself living in any other way except being connected to my fellow human beings.
I just read that's so, oh boy. I just read that the small connections keep you young and keep your brain going. And it's not your partner or the ones you talk to. It's the Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks barista, that person you see every day, that casual relationship that you shouldn't we can't take that for granted. That's so true. I hope you get to tell all of you. Hey, look, you're better than me because you're very modest and very private. If they were playing She's Got Away at the grocery store, I'd tell everyone that this was about. I'll be like,
Well,
listen, Rihanna, this is about
yeah,
me. Just let you
right.
know.
Well, you say that, but um, for many years, all those songs, and when we were together, there were almost 100 songs. Um, I know this sounds silly, or it sounds like I don't know what it sounds like. You can decide. Um, I always felt they were ours.
Mm,
I feel very maternalistic towards those songs. Um, they were written in my presence. He didn't go off to work, 9 to 5 or to a studio. And if he did go, we had a little shed at one point. I was in the shed with him. So I feel very proprietary. I feel very protective of. And I, so I want to keep some of that to myself. It's maybe considering, especially with the documentary being out there, it doesn't belong just to me anymore. But I guess it laughs on me because it never really was mine. I mean, it is, but it's okay. I think I'll be quiet now.
so that gave me chills and it made me feel very nostalgic because I think it's a universal feeling that you're talking about, which is maybe it's not in a public way for all of us, but when you are with somebody and you share life with somebody, there's a part of it that only you know. And
Exactly.
Even if people think they know, don't mind my dog. If people think they know the whole story, you want to keep that. It was something that at that time is very special and a part of your life, and you want to
And
keep it
private.
in private.
And but whoops, well, I guess that ship has sailed. And but it's okay. It was time for it to, I think, as my son said to me, he said, "Well, Mom," he said, "being in the witness protection program for 43 years is enough." And, you know, it's okay. People can know this and you're still going to be you um and
Yeah.
I'm still me.
Well, when I listen to the music and I hear the music that you created together, that is yours, I listen to it in a new way because I see the part of it that's you. I see faces to the names and I see it, and it makes me appreciate it, and it sounds even more beautiful now.
Oh,
It's
that's nice. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I remember once I was going to see a therapist and they want to tell me my life. And I was like, well, I don't have time to tell you my life, but you could listen to these 8 records and you get a pretty good idea of, uh, but how lucky, I mean, I feel I'm lucky that I lived through that. That I had that opportunity. And I also feel very fortunate that my story in that tranche of my life all those years ago was told in such a beautiful, sensitive way with using the music, because that music will never be licensed again for a purpose like that. And also, it was so great. There I am in my 20s, like I have no wrinkles and, good haircuts and, just swanning around, having a great old time. And, if you have to go through something like that, if that's the outcome, if that's the finished product, how lucky was I?
well,
And am I?
Well,
So,
if I may say so, what struck me in a completely materialistic, undeep way is you're really beautiful. Like you're gorgeous. No, you are. And on
thank
screen,
you.
you're gorgeous. And I saw you at the red carpet at Tribeca. Beautiful. You are beautiful. You are.
Thank you. Well,
And
we'll have to thank my parents.
that's
I had nothing to do with my looks, that it's just my parents and not just my parents, it's my parents' genes. But would you like to hear a little story about the red carpet?
yes.
So when the opening night was going to happen, for a long time, they thought Bill was going to go. And of course, it would be obvious he would go. But I knew, and as did some others, that there were things going on behind the scenes and that wasn't going to be possible. And and so I had asked if when I was on the red carpet, would it be photos only or would there be interviews? And I was assured, no, 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 they just want photos. Everything's great. Don't worry. Um, of course, I always know that when people say don't worry, that's when you start worrying. And so I was the first one through, and I did 25 interviews before the film rolled. And that was, so I was like, oh, I'm really in it. It was quite it wasn't a trial by fire. It's very normal and natural to me because obviously I had to teach clients how to do that. But it's very different to instruct someone how to do it and do it yourself. But it was fun. It was good.
40 something years of trying to stay
Yeah.
anonymous and then right at Tribeca, red carpet, 25
I was like,
interviews.
oh my God. So when the guy from Entertainment Tonight, and you can tell by the way everyone's dressed and what their rigs look like, and and I know probably 100 people have said this to him, but I needed a laugh. And so, and they said, "Oh, ET." And I said, "Oh, extraterrestrial?" And I laughed. And that just kind of broke the ice for me. And then I did the other 20 and it was like nothing, but you have to, you know, you got to show up.
Yeah. and show up you did. And what an amazing history and story. I can't wait. I love that this is a beautiful, amazing, giant juggernaut of a chapter of your life, but I loved asking you about the other amazing juggernaut giant chapters of your life because there's so much life every day. And I think that when relationships end and our lives morph and change, I think that it could be sad, it could be hard to go through, but there's beauty at the other end of it, always.
Completely. And when Bill and I got together, we were adorable. We were young, we were smart, but each of us kind of had a broken wing.
Mm,
And between the two of us, we were able to fly.
mm.
And as we learned to fly on our own, we learned that together. And and then we were able to fly into these very different, I could not have stood living that life. It just wasn't for me and for other reasons as well. But and he that's the life he wanted. So, and I'm happy that he had it for as long as he did.
So for Sean and for you, and now for him and his family and etc., this was a cathartic. I know that I read in an interview that there's a way that you can stay in touch. I know that some of the issue or wounds maybe have been time has passed, and this is maybe has it been a cathartic moment in this chapter of your life to do this?
Um, other people have said that to me too, and I don't want to, oh, excuse me, I don't I don't want to get out my dictionary, but I don't really think it was that cathartic. I think that the way it feels to me is that I was really able to integrate that tranche, that thing that happened so long ago that was it was kind of like the scary monster under the bed. And and it's not scary anymore. I mean, perhaps because I'm not really afraid of much, but it I was able to integrate that part of my life with the rest of it. And and that has been fantastic. Um, so that imagine, I mean, my book group that I've been in for over 20 years, nobody knew about that part of my life. Nobody.
Well, what a surprise they must have gotten.
Well, it was, I mean, and the night I went to Tribeca, the next morning, I got a text from one of I call them affectionately my bookies, and and it said, "No wonder you weren't at book group last night." And so, and she said, "I know how private you are," and she said, "We'll just keep it between us." And I mean, that ship sailed. I mean, it's not as if over the time since it's come out, most of my book friends have, you know, when I was in Wyoming last week, one of the greatest things, one of the nicest remarks is I have a friend, one of my best friends, her father is a senator, governor, senator, ambassador to Ireland, and we've been friends for 40, 50 years. And he told my best friend, he said, I never knew exactly what Elizabeth did, but I always knew it was great. And I like that. I like that so many people that didn't know anything, they already had an opinion of me.
Mm.
And it had nothing to do with, famous people, love songs or some not so loving songs. But so that I guess this is the right time for that integration.
I think that is really, really beautiful. I think the timing sounds perfect to me, and I love that. I want to, maybe you'll get a kick out of this. I'm not a big fan of the AI world. I'm a very liberal, progressive, scared teacher. They use it, the
Okay.
students use it, but I have Chat GPT, and sometimes when I have a guest, it's an easy way to say, "Hey, can you give me some quick background on this person so I can verify Wikipedia is not always right?" And so if you type in you, if I ask them about you, ChatGPT told me that getting Elizabeth Weber to talk to me was quite the get because she is notoriously private. So I should be very honored. And I told ChatGPT, I am.
Well, I think I need to come to Detroit even more now because you can't be relying on Chat GPT for feeling good.
So thanks to your team and Lisa for making this happen. She's an
Thank
angel.
you.
And I want to, I was going to ask you, do you still have the Halston dress somewhere?
Um, I have I think I do. I
What?
mean, I'm not big at well, I couldn't decide if I was going to wear I had a dress I wore to the Grammys in I think 1979, and I love that dress and I still have it and it still fits, of course. So I couldn't decide if I should wear what I wore or wear that. And my granddaughter said, yeah, don't wear that dress. No. And so that's why I ended up wearing what I did because I love being comfortable. And, when you're comfortable, like right now, you can just chat with somebody. But if you're, fooling around with your dress and that's another thing that keeps you from connecting, I think. And but yeah, I have that one time about maybe, I don't know, teenage girls think, especially in the days of the Kardashians, they think that they're like so nobody ever dressed like that before or did anything. And I was like, haven't you seen Cher? Like, but at any rate, one night it was the Grammy Academy Award, Grammy night, Academy Award night, I don't remember. And so I decided because every night we have Sunday dinner. So I thought, well, I'm just going to show them. And I did my hair and makeup and got the dress out and did the whole thing. And so I pull up to my son's house and the auto cart has other cars in it. And I was like, oh, holy smokes, who is here? So I call up my daughter on the phone. I said, could you open the front door so I can sneak back to the girls' rooms? And so she opens the front and she said, well, just come in. I said, please. So she opens the door. She looks at me. She's like, and I sneak back into the girls' room and they were like, it was, you can see your skin. You can see, and because so it was pretty funny, and to see their reaction. And then I brought up, a casual clothing, and I just stripped it off and twisted my hair up in a bun. But they were like, and of course, the dress was just magnificent, but it was very naked, and there was a strategically placed flower, and just to kind of show them, yeah, you think, yeah, this is the first generation that has it going on? No, yeah, no, no.
You're the coolest grandmother I would know. My mom's pretty cool grandma too, but that's pretty, you may got her beat. I,
Right.
what last question for you? We got to take up your time and I appreciate your time so much. What do you hope we take away from these conversations watching? What is the hope that you speaking and you sharing more of your life after all of these years and commenting on 25 interviews on the red carpet or chatting with someone like me? What do you hope we take away from what you've experienced?
Well, I don't know if any adults are going to really take away much. But I would like to think for every young girl or young boy that there is so much opportunity out there that everything you ever thought about or you dreamed about, do it. Go for it. I mean, when I was young and we were living in California, I thought about going to law school. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, what good law firm is going to want a woman as a partner? And if I were to make partner, it means I'd have to be working 80-hour weeks. And there's always a way to fulfill your dreams. There's always another way around it. You can't bring your baby to the dorm room, but I still got an education. Um, you may not become a lawyer and a partner in a big law firm, but guess what? You can work in a business and learn everything there is about it and go to classes so there's so much opportunity and chance, but you need to like satisfy yourself. You need to really figure out the best you can who you are. And you could figure out who you are today, and that person might be different in 5 years. And then you can change. And I wish that I had the opportunity to speak to youth groups more than I have, um, because life can be like so full of joy, but it's not about money. Because if you want money, you get it, and then what? That's like a dead end.
Yes,
So look at Lin-Manuel Miranda.
absolutely. Look at him. Look at him.
Yes.
Look at his living his life and with making art and living his authentic. It's a That's a perfect example.
Right. And helping others, encouraging other talents, you know, making it as collaborative as possible. I mean, one of the things I loved, I saw Hamilton, I took my girls and I saw it a few times. I mean, I'm not one of those people who, um, but they were having fun on that stage.
That's what I love.
And I mean, I like somebody who delivers a slick, well-modulated performance. I do. But Hamilton, that energy and that excitement of being together and performing that material, that invaded every single person in that audience.
And you know what? The work that you've done through all the different chapters have done that to somebody too. I think what I took away from this chat is that you are of service. If it's music, if it's ministry, if it's people in any capacity, through politics, through what the boards you've stood on, you're of service to try to make this world a little bit happier, a little bit safer, and a little bit better. And that's the greatest thing you can be as a human.
And you know what? We can all do it because when I see somebody this afternoon and I see them and I look at them and they know I've seen them, that's a good thing.
Thank you for being here. Is
Okay,
it-
I see you.
I see
And
you.
good luck with your quest because to me, parenting was
Wait.
the knee plus ultra. And if you oh, it's just fantastic. You get to use every skill and gift you have. And
I'm gonna
and
keep you posted then. Now you're a part of it. That's it. I'm
okay.
bringing you in.
That's good. Very
Thank
nice to see you.
you.
Thank you for your time.
How about that? It really touched me because you could tell the love of the music. And she's always a woman to me, I think is one of my favorites. She's always a woman to me. Ooh, that is a beautiful song. It gets me in my feels for sure. Just the way you are is a huge hit, but she's always, oh gosh, that song. And all the songs that were written about her for sure. Well, Tony DeSare is touring the country talking about Billy Joel, playing in front of symphonies. He rearranged and created such incredible arrangements of Billy. He's coming to Detroit. I can't wait for him to be at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. So I figured, why not put him together and tell us about how he found the honesty, no pun intended. Honesty, such a lonely word. To tell us all about Billy Joel and his brand new show. Tony was with us during the pandemic, and it's always a joy to have Tony back. He is incredible. Take a listen to this chat.
Well, I love our next guest, everybody, because when we have Tony DeSare here, listen, he has recorded during COVID, he sung like a song a day. He put like a song a day on the internet. He's released incredible albums. He's done off-Broadway and Sinatra shows. I know him as singing Great American Songbook. He sits at the piano. He's one of the great piano players. He's worked with the Pizzarellis. He's worked with everyone, every jazz club, every orchestra, every hall. And then I moved to Detroit last year, and I go to the DSO, and they give me a program of next season's shows at Detroit Symphony Orchestra. And I say, Tony is singing the hits of Billy Joel with these orchestras around the country. And then I've been following him on Instagram for years. And you see him sit at the piano and sing Cadillac, Are you know what kind of show this is going to be? I need to go see 2 hours of Tony singing Billy Joel. Tony, tell us about this show. Welcome back to my show. I'm so excited you're here.
I'm excited to be back too. It's been a while. I think it was the pandemic the last time.
It was during the pandemic, and people love you. Like, you have people who follow, they are the Tony fanatics. Like, they love you because your voice, your musicianship, the way you build a show is top notch.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I do have wonderful fans, and it is great to, because when I got into this, you get into it to share your music because it's music that you love personally, and then you hope that what you make people, you can kind of evoke a similar feeling and emotion in them. And I realized a while ago, I don't have to be Michael Bublé to do that. I mean, it doesn't take that many people to make you feel heard. And yeah, so I'm really fortunate about that. And yeah, the pandemic, that period where I was doing videos every day, really just built a community around my music. And everywhere I go still, every single place I think that I've played, at least 99% of the time, somebody will come up to me if I go out after the show and say, thank you for those diaries and all, and it just means so much. So yeah, I mean, it's very fortunate to have had this work out, because when I got into it, the first several years were a real struggle. But as far as, and thank you what you said as far as about building a show and things like that, because I learned in New York City from cabaret. I mean, my early training was cabaret, so I not only see a lot of them, I was in a show called Our Sinatra, so I really learned how, both by seeing great cabarets, learned what to do, and also seeing by seeing terrible ones, like what the pitfalls are. And also I learned how to, as far as building a symphony show and things like that, really I look at it as just a big cabaret show.
And that's what's so fun. You're not going to see Tony say, when I was 4 years old, and then he's going to sing all that jazz, and then it's not going to be one of those cabaret shows that he's talking about. And I'm no shade to people like that, but there's a nuance and a style that Tony puts together a show that is you're just a classy guy. I don't know how to describe it. You're just a classy guy.
Oh,
Bublé
that's so nice.
Stole his whole act from you. He stole Tony's whole act. So while we're talking, everybody, if you're in a couple of cities around this country, the music of Billy Joel, he's going to be there with the symphony. So Billy's kind of been in the news. I mean, because the documentary came out, the anthology came out, his health has been an issue. But when I think of you, I think of Great American Songbook, I think of Sinatra. And I don't know if people equate the Great American Songbook and Billy Joel like they should, because his songs have become the Great American Songbook. Yeah. So tell us about your thoughts and ideas and how this came to be.
Yeah, so first of all, I absolutely love Billy Joel. I have ever since I was a kid. My parents listened to, his albums. He was having the hits on the radio as I was growing up. And the very first album that I ever bought was Stormfront in 1989 with the song And So It Goes made me, so I gotta have this. So I was at that point, I think, getting a little bit of an allowance, and I took whatever I had and bought this album. So I've loved Billy Joel a long time. And first of all, if you haven't seen, anybody out there haven't seen the HBO documentary, it's so good. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about Billy's life, but I had no idea. But not only is it about Billy and his music, but it's just so well done. It's one of the best biography documentary things that I've ever seen. And when I first was like, oh, this is 5 hours long, this might be, I didn't get bored for a minute through the whole thing. So one of the things that the documentary talked about that I've also observed, I mean, Billy was like one of the biggest stars in the world, I mean, he still is, but while he was putting out those hits, I mean, The Stranger was the best-selling album of that year. He won Grammys years in a row, but the critics didn't like him, and he wasn't cool. Like people that were, into new wave and all this stuff, I mean, thought Billy's songs were derivative, and he was so upset he would tear up reviews on stage. But over time is what happens with good music. He's become not only cool again, I mean, he's bigger than ever. I mean, he can play, I mean, he's played Madison Square Garden and sold out every show, 100 and I don't know, like over 100 shows at Madison Square Garden. That's a lot of people. So I premiered the show in Cleveland about a month ago with the Cleveland Orchestra, and it was kind of stressful to premiere it there because Cleveland is one of the best orchestras in the world, first of all. So, and I wrote all the charts. I did all the arrangements. So I started working on this show a year ago. I started in October, and I just started picking songs one at a time. And so I feel like I did 18 charts for the show. And I feel like after studying so deeply his music, I mean, I've always known it and I could play some of the songs, but I went back to the recordings, I transcribed stuff, I found stuff that's online, and really just got into the nuts and bolts of his craft. And I gotta say, it's like so musical. Even there's nothing really that simple, even in the songs that you think are simple. There's always interesting chord changes, interesting bass movements. Like every song has that. And so I feel like I got a master's degree in Billy Joel.
Yes.
So anyway, so we premiered the show. I was, nervous. I mean, first of all, to see if my voice would last 2 hours singing Billy Joel, because as you said, I'm used to singing like Great American Songbook, which is much more laid back. But I've had to actually become a better singer to do this show. I worked for many months leading up to it, just learning how to sing clearer, higher, lose some of the sliding and stuff that I do in the swing and Great American Songbook, and really just nail the pitches and sing the Billy Joel stuff where it's authentic to his style, but not trying to copy him either. So we did it in Cleveland, and I just the charts played down great. We had 8,000 people there. Yeah, because it's Blossom Music Center, so it's this beautiful outdoor venue. So it's got like a theater with seating, and then it's got an open lawn, and there was just people everywhere I could see, and they had me on these big screens. So I felt like a rock star. I was living my Billy Joel dreams for a night.
You are a rock star, Tony. That's it. Rock star. If you follow Tony, and the links and everything will be below, because you see him practicing on his piano in his house, banging on the keys, playing awesome piano, and singing his face off. And I know for a fact that if you think Billy Joel is easy to sing, try to sing Piano Man at karaoke and see how it jumps up there in those choruses. It is a rangy beast, and he does it effortlessly, as do you. And it's not as easy as it looks, everybody. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is challenging, and he uses a lot of different styles in his singing too. But I mean, I'm a baritone. He's definitely more of a tenor. So I did drop keys, but I think even dropping the key gives me the ability to give a slightly different point of view on the song. And some songs I did kind of like I treated his music as if, because it is the new Great American Songbook. I mean, the songs that he wrote now are 50 years old, 40 to 50 years old, and they're still in everybody's mind. So there's certain songs that I kind of reapproached in a different way, just to kind of prove that if a song is good, you can do it kind of in a different way and it still works. And then there were some songs like you just have to do it like his arrangement, because it's just so good. Songs like Moving Out or Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, things like that, you just want to do it the way it was, because it can't be improved upon.
I want to see Scenes of an Italian Restaurant with an orchestra and you at the piano playing and singing. I need to see it.
Well, you can in a couple months.
Come to Detroit, everybody, and other cities around. Is it true that for you to, I don't know what it's like to work behind the scenes with an orchestra. I mean, they have to pick your show. They have to choose to want to play this music. There's a board of people that want to make money. They want to sell tickets. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's not like you can just call your manager and say, hey, next week I want to play so-and-so. This has been a long time in advance.
How about that? The Piano Man, Tony DeSare, talking about the Piano Man, Billy Joel, and Elizabeth Weber sprinkled on top of that for a special roundtable. Thank you all for your birthday wishes. Thank you all for the love. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you. Happy Halloween to you. Be safe this weekend. Enjoy every single second. There's more good than there is bad. There's more joy than there is sadness. There's more love than there is hate. The roundtable will be here again next week, Thursday. I'll be super duper live and missing you, so you'll have to be ready for me. And I thank you all so much for spending your another year and another moment. And any second you spend with me is one I don't take for granted. The best is yet to come. Here's to another one. God bless you, everybody. And I'll see you again next time here on the Roundtable.